All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate North America Open 2019, and I'm standing here with one of the most supportive parents, one of the many supportive parents. That is Veronica, a.k.a. Mama Wrath. Can we give it up to Mama Wrath right now? Let's give it up to Mama Wrath. So, Mama Wrath, has it always been like that? Or were you a supporter from day one when he told you he wanted to start going to tournaments?
No. Because when I was a child, I was playing video games and it was boring. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But as time went on and I found that he was very interested in video games, I had to take the time and pull the curtains back and realize that once you pull the curtain back on the word video game, you see science, mathematics, you see strategic game planning, you see just trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to do. And all of that is being done in a split-second moment. So you have a lot of information coming into the cerebral cortex and crossing the synapses and telling the body what it needs to do. So therefore, I didn't have any other choice but to be able to sit here and be very supportive of our son and try to do what is necessary to make things happen.
That was a way better answer than I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. So with that being said, when he won and he came downstairs or upstairs to tell you, Mama, we're going to PAX, how did you feel about that?
Oh, my husband and I were like, game on. So we're here, whatever's necessary. We are the type of parents that we have been to those different tournaments that he's had in the seediest shopping centers. And he is inside playing the video game, and my husband and I are inside the car asleep until 2 a.m. in the morning. And then the very next day, we're trying to function as adults, but we're tired and exhausted while he's at home asleep because he's been out playing video games. But because we see the bigger picture and we're not myopic in our thinking, we definitely made sure that we wanted to support him and be out in those venues, those shopping centers, to the largest universities to make things happen.
You got to give a shout out to supportive parents like that, man. I mean, it's just what it is. Being able to hear that and have your parents like support your passion is always going to be a great thing. But guys, as much as we love supportive parents, you know what we love more? Some of that Squatch Strike action. You guys ready for some more Squatch Strike? All right, let me go ahead and throw it back to the casters. Coney, take it away.
Thank you, TK. And as you can tell, smart moms are supportive moms. She dropped a few words I can't spell for you.
Listen, I was looking for my thesaurus and it was nowhere in sight, so I was just following along.
Yeah, we didn't pack it for this trip, but as you can tell, we packed a top player here joining us. Please welcome Supergirl Kels to the desk. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing so good. How are you?
Good. It's so good to have you on the desk here.
Definitely.
To sort of look at these games in a different perspective. So Supergirl Kels, one of the top Sonic and Kirby players in the nation, actually from Canada.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
Hoping to keep that up.
Yeah, so in terms of what we've seen so far, in the matchups and in the characters and everything, what has really stood out the most to you?
I want to give a shout out to one player in particular. I'm really loving SWEETT. Even though we got Northwest right now that's seeded last, so expected to get last place in the tournament, I don't want to sleep on them. I've seen the online qualifiers tournaments. I've seen every single video, and Mystic, even though he hasn't really popped out with the performance or has fallen off stage or whatever, I've seen this guy's brain, the way it has worked, the way it kind of fidgets and plays with the items and really uses the tools of the items and the character Ridley himself. So I know that he's going to bounce back at any point. And Pokemon Trainer, SWEETT, looking so clean with those combos,
Definitely.
setting up that smash ball. He never misses that smash ball.
2 for 2.
All the time. And Austin, too, his DK, that heavy hitter, great way to take it home. I think that they can pull this through.
Definitely. So if I had to put you on the spot also, I did this to Vicky a little bit earlier,
right?
so I'm going to do it to you
Here we
again.
go.
So if you had a team, are you going to stick with the SWEETT team? You're going to stick with that Northwest, or going to sort of rep your side?
This is really hard. I think John Numbers from Northeast is probably the most consistent player within this tournament right now. He's been playing super clean, his combos, his approach games, the way he's backing up, being patient, really baiting, punishing, and setting up options. I think he's bringing it out the most. His team's looking strong. Seth, a well-known Yoshi and Inkling player in the competitive scene. So that's two strong players right there. I think the favor does go for them. But yeah, I got a little sweet spot for Northwest. So,
Okay, I can see that. But well, starting off, we're going to see them play right now. They're going to be going up against Northeast. And I'm really interested to see how John Numbers sort of plays in here. As you saw before, he was sort of the anchor for his team. Is that something you would agree with, putting what might be sort of your star player at your third spot?
Honestly, in terms of Squatch Strike, I feel like every player is different depending the way they go. I personally really like to start strong. I like to put out my character that's strongest, get that lead, and then maintain that lead, force that approach. But I mean, they got their own strategy. They are a team-based team, so they got to figure out who's going to go first, who's comfortable going second, which characters are we going up against, who's comfortable against those characters, and really using that.
So it looks like we're starting off with Seth against Mystic. Now, guys, keep in mind, the format has changed. Each of these players are now going to get 3 characters each, which is why you see Seth on Corrin, Inkling, and Yoshi.
And I love the fact that we're seeing, you know, both Corrin and Bowser Jr. being represented. 2 underrepresented characters so far, I feel like, in the overall meta, but coming through right now. Oh my God! Don't you!
The walk-offs actually
The bellows!
really bad. He was trying to shield that, but it just was not enough. He was so close to the blast on that it just would not have been able to help him.
I definitely think that's one of the strongest items in the game.
It's insane.
Used, and if it's used correctly, you can, you know, cancel out those jumps. You can really block any option just coming back to the
Well,
stage.
you saw him. He had him pinned over there on the left side. There wasn't too much he could do. What a way to give yourself an advantage.
And Mystic looking to do it again, has Seth off on the side, but Seth able to fight out of the corner. And Bowser Jr., a character that we don't see very often, but has really come out to play today.
No doubt about it. Not disappointing at all. Really just propelling Mystic
Oh, he
in the
almost
lead.
walked into that.
Wow, Seth looking a little lost for wear right now.
He's got the Ore Club. Mystic popping off, jumping in and out of the cart right there. Seth really struggling to make anything happen. Mystic just all over him.
Seth doing his best, but perhaps gonna have to rely on falling back to that Yoshi once it gets to him. Might be a little sooner rather than later. 133% for Inkling.
I love this stage control coming from Mystic, really being in the center of the stage, forcing approach options, forcing any option at all coming in from Seth. He's maintained this such a big lead.
Oh! What?
He is so smart. He literally knew what he had to do to make it back to the stage, regardless of that bridge breaking.
He
Big
was so
brain.
low there. Excellent play by Mystic. Maybe the Ridley's gone. Maybe we just stick with Junior.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, man. Give Ridley the day off, all right?
You know, sometimes in tournament, I just need to pull out a character, you know, any character or even a secondary, just to get your mind back into the game. And I feel like that's what's happening with this Bowser Jr. right now.
I don't know what it's going to take to get Seth back into this game, okay? Because he is getting mollywopped. I'm going to keep it real with you.
And let's talk about that Rage Blaster and how much damage it does too. Although Yoshi does have the best shield in the game, that Rage Blaster just puts on so much damage.
See Mystic trying to find his way back to center stage now. Keep in mind, this is Seth's main. So you were talking about character skills. When you pick a different character, sort of mixing things up. When you've got somebody's main against somebody's secondary, what does that usually look like?
So a main and a secondary. Honestly, Seth here with his Yoshi, super strong. I've actually had the privilege of playing him in a tournament, and his Yoshi definitely super strong in terms of punishing, meaning really getting aggressive, really getting in your face, really being able to punish every option. But Mystic has just been so consistent in this game.
Yep.
His Bowser Jr. really had that control, and I think it's
Oh, no. Captain
Captain
has him, but Mystic able to break out. Essentially what you want to do when that happens, you have to break out. He has the smash ball. Mystic almost getting taken out, but Captain is relentless.
Oh,
That's
my.
why I love Animal Crossing, man.
Anybody's game right here. Oh, just goes right at him.
I want to say that was a juke because it looked like he was going to use it on the smash ball, but instead, Seth was just caught off guard and it actually ended up hitting him instead.
You know, that's what happens with these items sometimes. You get distracted with, okay, which item is on the field? Which can I use for my opponent? That you actually forget the placement of where your opponent is and what they're actually planning. So shout outs to Mystic. He did so good at baiting his opponent to, hey, you go get that smash ball. I'll be right here ready to hit you.
I honestly feel like around the end, that's when Seth started juggling the items a lot better than Mystic, but I feel like Mystic was just so more far ahead that it was a little too late for him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what I'm sort of interested in now is Northwest has taken a game off of Northeast.
Yeah.
Of course, Northwest, like you said, the lowest seed in the tournament, but in this part of the bracket, it does not matter. Now we're going to see another member from both teams come up. Each of those players getting 3 characters. So DTFAUX and John Numbers on one side, and SWEETT and Austin on the other.
I got to point out the fact this is a little scary. If you're thinking, you know, obviously Seth was probably considered the second best player on the squad.
Sure.
Yep.
You know, go with that. You know what I'm saying? So really, I feel like Faux, he's really gonna have to step it up. Like he's gonna have to kind of carry the load in a sense you know what John Numbers is going to bring to the table. You can pretty much always bet on John Numbers.
Yes.
He's a safe pick. But I feel like right now, Foe's going to have a little more pressure. And if he can rise to that occasion, oh, man, this has all the makings of a great one.
We'll see. I mean, it is best of 3, so I feel like you have to send in Numbers now, just because if you go 0-2, you're
Well, I'm
already
saying for
down
like when numbers obviously like hopefully
Yes.
gets the W for his squad.
Of course.
It's going to be a little pressure there on Foe.
But it looks like they're
But
actually
perhaps,
sending in DTFAUX first. Okay, so they're keeping John Numbers as the anchor. They really want to put this guy in, see what he's made of. We'll have to see how he performs here. Now, we're talking about Incineroar. That is his main. In your experience, Kel, sort of as a top player, how do you feel about that character in the meta as he exists today?
I think Incineroar is scary up close. He's a very slow character, so it's very easy to kind of stay away from him, stay out of that range of where his hits can get. It's a little scary, especially when he can get that nice grab with a ton of like revenge on him.
Oh, yes.
Revenge being his special move where he can actually absorb attacks from other characters and is able to unleash it on his opponent 2 times as strong. So that's what's so scary about fighting him up close. Very quick moves that come out, very hard-hitting moves. So definitely the play here is going to want to be baiting Incineroar to come at you and then punishing.
I'm a little interested to see in who DTFAUX is going to play in terms of his characters. We know he has the Incineroar, but I really don't know who else is in his pocket.
Mario. Mario is absolutely going to be on that lineup. I remember playing this gentleman a few rounds of Smash 4, and his Mario was just insane. And all right on time. Now, I was not expecting the Wii Fit, though. That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out as well. But you know what? When you got John Numbers on your team, maybe feeding you some tips, I wouldn't bet against that.
That's true.
I am very excited to see Wii Fit Trainer, a character who was not so tough and fit in Smash 4, but in this game has really worked out to her potential and does an amazing job at comboing now and these follow-ups, and her kill power is just so much better, and her hitboxes around you, which is basically the moves that she puts out that kind of ranges around her, is now a lot better.
Definitely.
So, and a strong start that we're seeing right now.
Austin sort of trailing. You can see DTFAUX sort of patrolling the right side of the stage on Frigate Orpheon. I believe that's a Deku Nut right there. DTFAUX gonna pick it up, run to the side. Austin recovering on stage, but DTFAUX does not take the punish.
Can we just talk about how
was
DT
brilliant.
literally does not have to approach here? He's just been jumping around Austin and forcing Austin to approach. And I feel like that's where DT is excelling right here. He's just kind of making his opponent peeved by holding forward.
And what did I tell you guys? Rising to the occasion, not sending in Numbers, not getting a little panicky, believing in DTFAUX, and he is not letting them down right now. That Goldine just kind of making an appearance, not doing anything, but hey, she was there.
Austin really struggling to get back onto that stage, uses Roy's up B. DTFAUX gonna punish him for it once, but not more than that. DTFAUX has lapped Austin in percent.
We are really seeing an emergence right now of these secondaries, if you will, straying away from the main, and they are certainly coming through in the clutch. It's like DTFAUX now benefiting this Wii Fit has been unstoppable.
So what I'm noticing here that Austin, I think, is getting hit a lot for is every time he's been launched off stage, he's trying to really get back on the stage, forcing himself, which is leaving himself very vulnerable and getting all these hits in. Already at 125, taking it home.
Cleats, baby! Straight up!
All right, this might be the only way we get the Wii Fit Trainer out of the game. Donkey Kong has to find a way to really squash this bug, but Austin can't catch him.
She's moving though. Oh, she's moving though!
Back into the stage safely. DTFAUX.
He is literally just running track on this DK. Austin, no idea what's going on. Yeah, this is a rough one. Okay.
All right, let's see if he could start something here.
I think he wants to hold on to it.
Have to.
He has to hold on to this, try to get the stock and use the final smash on the next stock. But DTFAUX, as we've seen before, such an excellent player at baiting and punishing, trying to force that option.
Yeah, as you notice, Austin just continuously, as Super Go Cuss was mentioning, jumps back onto the stage, forcing the situation, and I feel like that's why he's been getting hit so many times. But DTFAUX doesn't really look like he's trying to hold forward too much. He's just like, okay, I have the lead here. I know I don't have to approach in this situation.
He's got to be careful, though. I mean, that jungle rush, it's a very powerful final smash, but, you know, you're only a couple more hits away from maybe getting that knocked away. As you see, DT, he is feeling himself right now.
But here comes Knuckles the Echidna, able to really homing attack similar to Sonic, where he just charges up his special and aims for his opponents. Let's see if it can help him out.
DK is calling on all the specialists to try to get rid of this Wii Fit trainer. He's got to call Candy, Lanky, everybody. But
that was a misinput.
Misinput, yeah.
That was definitely a misinput.
So we could definitely see maybe Nerves playing a little bit of a factor.
Oh my, you need the fairy.
He threw out the fairy, but Austin racking up this damage.
Yes.
You talked about DK having a hard time landing, but DK also making it very difficult for other players to land. But DTFAUX making sure Austin is going to land all the way down.
Who said LeBron didn't make the playoffs, bro? You was lying out here, bro. Come on now.
We were talking about him jumping off stage, and I feel like that's actually why that spike had landed, because he tried to force the situation, as Kels mentioned, and he just managed to hold forward and jump to get back as soon as possible.
Now that's a term that we keep using sort of in Austin's playstyle there, that holding forward. Kels, as a player, what do you do when you see somebody doing that, being super aggressive, holding that forward, trying to sort of push upon you all the time?
The best thing to do is relax, number one. You definitely have to keep a good mindset. Mindset is very important. If you're in a disadvantaged state and you're panicking in that moment, hey, I'm getting hit a lot, what do? I can't jump, I lost my jump, I don't have recovery. I personally love to go to that edge. That edge, when you're hanging on there, you're invincible for a few amount of seconds. You can refresh yourself, you get all your jumps back and get your head back in the game. Maintain that center.
Excellent down air there from DTFAUX. Austin having a lot of trouble recovering this entire match. You saw DTFAUX trying to get the electricity, sort of backfired on him, but he didn't lose a stock there.
I almost feel like he used that to his advantage. He just made himself that much harder to hit, just making that frame even more tiny.
And you said it before, DTFAUX really rising to that occasion. They did put in John Numbers. They knew that they could rely on him as the anchor, but now all eyes are on this guy. I mean, he's got all the pressure.
Because it's not the same format as the seeding. Again, you get those 3 characters to work with the one stock. It's going to be a little more different of a ball game, and I really like the fact that DTFAUX stepped up for that. So now you got John Numbers here to maybe bring this thing home for his squad.
And we got the secret character about to be revealed. So on one side, on SWEETT, we've got Palutena, Pichu, and Pokemon Trainer. On John Numbers, though, we've got Wii Fit Trainer, Inkling, and Mean Sword Fighter.
Oh, yes.
I am excited. This character is unknown. You don't see too much of the Miis, but Sword Fighter in general has a lot of new tricks up his sleeve that can catch opponents off guard. Really good at spacing out and forcing a wall for you to just not approach. So let's see what he does with this character.
So we're starting off on Battlefield for this game 1. As you said before, Vicky, this being a really difficult stage to land on, but it also can help you sort of get down in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, sometimes if you feel like your character's at a disadvantage and they're constantly above the opponent, sometimes it can be difficult to land against characters such as Palutena, actually, that has a really good up air and even a nair that can cover so much space. You see SWEETT going for the down throw into the back air there, and it's nice to know Palutena's shield is invincible. That shield literally protects her when she uses it as a dash attack or even as a back air.
The Hakate bomb is out. Have to see if Numbers, he lets it go. We talked about this dude being an items expert.
Oh, absolutely.
You saw him throw it down, give it one punch. That's all he needed.
You're not gonna see any hesitation from him. And I love the fact he elected to start with the Wii Fit. Give yourself a nice boost. Obviously, all his characters very well rounded, but I think the Wii Fit starting off, that was kind of the play. But you see SWEETT hanging in there, actually with the lead right now. Oh, a little misdirection, faked you out. Be careful. Fool's Gold is floating around. One of those fake smash balls will do you in.
And one of the things that we saw a lot in the qualifier
Numbers
with the up air, exploding it on himself. Really surprised by that.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to back off. He was in that situation off stage. The 2 smash balls were right next to each other. It looked like both of them were going to explode, and of course, bouncing off that stage is going to lead him to his death.
Have to see if John Numbers wants to hold on to this. It does look like he is. He's being very patient. We talked about this before, that patience, that willingness to not sort of dive into the opponent.
And it's nice to note that bumper that's in the middle of the stage there, it also forces your opponent to jump around it, and that's why you see John Numbers hanging below the platform to try to catch SWEETT's jump.
I think SWEETT's kind of doing the right thing as far as just kind of playing these platforms. You already know, like, with Sword Fighter, you're going to be using that chakram, you're going to try to use that tornado to get those follows, but when you're in the sky like that or on the platforms, it makes it that much harder for him to really kind of get his neutral going. Some limited options for this particular Mii fighter, but you're just seeing SWEETT play it perfectly thus far.
I'm a little surprised that he's holding onto this final smash for so long, because if your opponent hits you, it actually can pop out. Now it's harder to hit out. Oh, what a snipe!
And sometimes it's even best to throw the item, especially one of the swords in the game, whether it be even home run bat as well. Sometimes if you just throw the items, it's just better than just holding onto it.
Yep.
The final smash coming out, SWEETT getting out of that situation, and now tries to punish John Numbers. That forward smash missing though.
So what happened there was Starfy, I think, had something to do with it. I don't know if he was on the other team, but I think Starfy might have hit him out at that fourth smash of that final smash. I do want to bring up the matchup between these two.
Yeah.
Sword Fighter Pichu. Pichu, a very aggressive character that can put so much pressure, as we're seeing right now,
Definitely.
which makes it really easy to get onto a character like Sword Fighter. Sword Fighter being that character that's to force his opponent out, and is not having that right now.
But also very much a glass cannon. Pichu, the lightest character in the game by a large margin, so SWEETT has to play on point just because me Sword Fighter with some really strong KO options if he's not careful.
If he's at a good enough distance to connect that tornado, once that cooldown wears off, he can go up there and hit the up B, but not even going to be a factor as we see SWEETT able to remove that stock, and it all going to come down to the Inkling for John Numbers.
And it might come down to mains on both sides. SWEETT does have this Pichu, but if Pichu can rack up damage on Inkling, who we've said before has historic issues getting the KO, we'll have to see if the Pokemon trainer against Inkling comes through.
All right. See if
I'm really looking forward to seeing and hopefully seeing Numbers as Inkling versus SWEETT's Pokemon trainer. As I was saying in the beginning when I got here, that these are the players that I'm looking forward to seeing play most. They're playing so consistently great. So them up head on head, I feel like whoever wins this has a good shot at winning this tournament.
Absolutely.
SWEETT's just doing such a good job with the down air into the back air. I feel like he's just controlling the neutral.
Oh,
it's
he
a legend
took it!
like John Numbers.
What?
He took the smash ball from SWEETT.
I can't believe he got his hands on that. Okay, talk about a last-second play. But is it gonna matter? No, I know, Kels, I know you wanted to see the showdown, but SWEETT too well engaged, not letting it be the case. What a performance.
He didn't even get the chance to use it, and that's an upset, guys. That's
That
the
is an
seed
upset, yep.
for our team, defeating the first seed. And I mean, John Numbers, Seth, DTFAUX, those guys look so strong, but SWEETT coming out super hard as the anchor for his team.
SWEETT just did so amazing. He didn't even have to go Pokemon trainer at that point. He was playing so safe with Pichu. Actually taking advantage of what Super Gold Cuss was talking about, the fact that Pichu's able to rack up so much percent because of his strong combos, it can be really intimidating to recover against a character like Pichu, but also the forward smash is coming out against John Numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like when he was trying to recover, it was actually struggling for him to get off the ledge.
So the Southwest team is going to move on into winners finals. Northeast is going to drop down into the lower bracket. They're still in the tournament, but we'll talk about that format in just a bit.
Now, what did I tell you? What did I tell you before we even started this bracket? It don't matter what you're seated.
That's
okay?
true.
It don't matter. I don't care about what's on the screen right there. I care about what's in here, what's in your heart, man. They had a whole lot of it. What an upset. Northwest heading to winners finals.
Can we also talk about the stage they were on? Let's talk about Battlefield real quick. A very high ceiling, lots of platforms. It makes it very easy for characters like Pichu, like Palutena, to get around smoothly with their range, to get in your face, to really escape and really get everywhere where they need to go. I feel like that really helped out SWEETT at that stage, definitely.
So when we're talking about Battlefield and some of the other stages that play, Vicky, in terms of the other things we could see, like Congo Jungle, Gerudo Valley, Yoshi's Island, what do you think would have helped out John Numbers maybe a little bit more in that situation? I mean, he didn't even get to the Pokemon trainer.
I was going to say, I feel like Battlefield's a good stage for Inkling, and that seems to be the character that John Numbers has been messing around with in competitive play. Of course, we have seen him play characters like Palutena and me Sword Fighter, but I feel like if he was able to land consistently and maybe not press as many buttons, I felt like he was being very aggressive.
Sure.
Like, oh, I feel like I'm at a deficit right now. I need to consistently hit you. And it wasn't until the very end when it was a little too late where he started slowing down his play. Honestly, like Gerudo Valley per se, the fact that it has walk-offs, I feel like I've seen him take advantage of walk-offs more than any other player that I saw in the open qualifiers. So I feel like if we should have seen Gerudo Valley, it could have been different. Remember, the stages are randomized here, so we really don't have a toss-up in counter-picking for these stages as well.
And you also saw the Palutena, like you were talking about. Palutena's doing so good at sort of forcing you to come down in a different way, really stopping your landing, and it looked like SWEETT was all over that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about it as far as the randomized stages. I love it personally because you gotta act on the fly.
Yes.
Right? You know what I'm saying? You don't get that counter pick advantage, any of that. Everybody's kind of on the same footing as far as going to those stages and how you kind of adjust on the fly, as I said.
Well, what's super cool is that you don't see it until you load in. There's no indication.
Yep.
So as soon as that starts up and the characters are loading up, you're
nuts.
like, oh, okay.
You can't game
all
plan.
right.
You don't even have those 5 or 10 seconds to kind of game plan, like, oh, where am I going to go? No, you're just right in a miss and the battle begins. It's kind of crazy.
Exactly, so we're going to switch over to the other side of the bracket on Yoshi's Island.
They starting with Wrath? Ooh.
Yeah, we're starting off with Wrath against AAROW, and this is the Young Link that we saw a lot earlier on in the qualifiers. Now, Sonic, you know I got to ask you this question, Kels.
Let's go.
As the Sonic extraordinaire, how do you feel about Sonic against Young Link?
Young Link and Sonic, I personally think it is an even matchup.
Okay.
I really think Sonic's new homing attack, being so quick,
So good.
so fast, that you can't see it's coming. So whenever AAROW Young Link wants to put out, let's say an arrow, or even a boomerang, Sonic's already in your face. So it's very hard for him to actually set up a lot, because you have to catch Sonic. But AAROW doing a really good job at actually catching Sonic's really bad landing options. Sonic does have a very slow landing, so the more time he's going to spend in the air, the more time he's going to get punished.
All right.
Have to see who gets this final smash. Now, Sonic's final smash considerably weaker than it has been in past games. Have to see if he's able to get the stock here from AAROW, who dives super deep.
Wait, is he diving too deep?
A little bit too deep.
You can't do the work for him, man. Come on now.
Supersonic, man, looking invincible even when he doesn't touch you.
That would.
But I guess he went for a wall jump?
It looked like he was going to try to go for a wall jump, but
Yeah.
I feel like he just went too low and he realized it too late.
So, Vicky, in terms of this stage, I mean, we've got Yoshi's Island. We talked about Battlefield, the platforms. Oh, no, I thought he got down thrown into it.
I was going to say, okay, so the tilts at the each end of the stage allows you for a situation like that where if you get grabbed and, you know, Sonic's throw, if it sets you up for a tech situation, you can actually check on the ledge there. So congrats for AAROW for actually recognizing that situation. But also, there's certain situations where you can low profile under certain moves using those ledges to actually take advantage when you're standing way closer to the ledge. That gives you invincibility. But speaking of taking stocks, Kels was talking about how strong Incineroar is, especially if he catches you with that side B.
Oh, no. Kind of suspect directional influence on that, but AAROW still able to make it back just fine. There's the forward smash. Have to see if he can make it back. He has to go for the dive, and he gets the ledge. Perfect spacing from DTFAUX. Or, I'm sorry, from AAROW. It's the blue Incineroar.
It is. It's a very common color around
Yeah.
here, as we can see. And AAROW trying to make this stock count. Wrath, though, really done a good job, really just kind of controlling the stage thus far. See the auto reticle coming through.
I'm really excited to see how AAROW is going to approach.
Beautiful.
I don't even get to see it.
But we got the Ridley out. You were talking about this before. Ridley is finally here. Have to see how he can do against Wrath, who's playing very patient. That's sort of what he's known for, is playing sort of on his back foot and forcing the opponent to come to him.
And I feel like AAROW is doing a really good job as well on this stage, as Ridley controls a lot of space in general. That's why you see him going for these drift back nairs, and he does hit pretty hard too. So you want to see him focus on that smash ball.
Yeah, you can see these guys both trying to play with the smash ball, but not try to force anything. This is what he needs, but Wrath still evading it.
Man, I'm telling you, the thing about Wrath, we talk about his patience, he just plays characters that just benefit that style so well. I mean, he is just seamless switching between Sonic and then the Palu, really just hammering AAROW, who is kind of just looking a little lost. Maybe he's trying to make a big play right now. Ridley does have the strength to close out this stock, but you got to find the hit.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to hold on to the boomerang. So when you use the boomerang, you actually can't use any of your smash attacks just because it is an item. It looks like he's trying to play with it. Essentially, that move gets stronger the more you throw it. And I think AAROW's trying to charge it up. But keep in mind, Wrath does have a reflector. But it's not going to matter as AAROW finally getting the KO. And that thing is charged.
It is charged, but he is grounded. And the forward smash coming out, that is going to be it for AAROW. But nonetheless, really good awareness on using that boomerang. That really could have been what could have helped him actually take out Wrath's last character.
I love the way that, how fast that was. Inkling just spawned on that stage and was like, all right, let's close this out before this becomes a problem, you know?
Yeah.
For sure. Really love the way that he just went with the roller. He noticed his opponent was just kind of staying very grounded, which is great because that's where you have most control of the game. You really want to control that stage, show everybody, hey, like, that's my stage. But being on that stage, you also need to be defensive against Inkling, where that roller, if you're not shielding it, you're going to die really, really early.
And we were talking about earlier how Inkling at higher percents, when Inkling has you at a higher percent, sometimes struggles to actually land the KO, and that's where the roller comes handy, because the roller sets you up to get grounded, and then you could follow with either an up smash or even a forward smash.
I'll tell you what, you got a year and a day to kind of react once you connect that as well.
True.
It's kind of nutty how long you stay grounded off of that, but you know,
It
for
comes
Wrath,
out fast, it's not easy to avoid.
Exactly. For Wrath, man, just another day at the office. Credit to him. A hot start and an excellent finish as well.
Very well done. We'll have to see how the next game goes. It's going to be Ter-Bear against Devante. Wrath putting a point on the board for the Southeast. Devante, of course, the Wario specialist, but has a few other characters in his pocket, including a Rosalina, who honestly we haven't seen much of at all in terms of top-level play.
Yeah, I mean,
actually.
I can only really recall like the Buzz,
Yeah.
you know, kind of scarcely using that character. To his credit, I think I went over Sam Sword with her, so not too bad. But you know, it's kind of, again, it's Squatch Strike. It really lends itself to seeing who can really take on the essence of Smash and just master multiple characters and perform at top level. I'm really interested to see this kind of clash. I see Ganondorf as well, and I know my boy Nairo's in the crowd too, so I gotta shout out to him for sure, man. Definitely gonna be a good one.
Ter-Bear really going for these hard hitters. I like the decision of characters where Ganondorf, everybody gets excited for. He's a character that hits so hard.
Oh,
it's
yes.
a fashionable style. Ike as well. Ike having such a long-range sword that whenever you hit something with it, it connects into another hit,
Crazy.
and another, and another. And then you have Youngling that kind of slows the pace down, takes control by using projectiles, and really forces those approaches. So let's see how this goes.
So I just want to make note, on this stage in particularly, I feel it benefits Ter-Bear's characters just because of these platforms that allow characters like Ganondorf or Ike to add in that extra pressure, not only with their smash attacks, but even with their aerials.
Yeah, not just that, but the KO power as well, right? Just because the sides are a little bit more narrow, so it's going to mean that those heavy hitters get their KOs earlier as the Dragoon has started to spawn. Ter-Bear taking one piece now. While the Dragoon is spawning, no other items will come out, especially on low, so they're going to have to play around that, see where they come up on the stage and try to play to that advantage.
Yeah, and it's really kind of changes the whole dynamic, really the whole flow of the match. You know, you only have that one item to kind of worry about. So it's just you and your tools right now as you see another piece coming to the field.
I feel like Devante not playing with enough urgency to try to pick it up, but he eventually does, not a big deal. Ter-Bear with that forward tilt, knocking him off on the side, but again, nobody's really playing for the Dragoon.
Wow.
But there we go.
The new Nair coming out into the up smash. We were talking about how smash attacks cover the platforms for Ter-Bear, but Rosalina with the up smash, she's pretty tall herself, but Ter-Bear immediately closing out that first character.
What Ike does, man, that immediate retaliation. Nair.com, man, he knows how to put those things together.
Have to see how this Mario does. A character we haven't seen too much of. We saw DTFAUX earlier, but now Devante trying to make a name in this space.
Definitely. You see these quick draw attempts coming out for Ter-Bear, using it offensively and defensively, not kind of shying away.
Let me tell you, this is not an easy matchup. Any character against Mario that has a sword makes it really hard for him. He's stronger than the sword.
Play of the game.
Devante has just been on fire with these Mario edge guards. Before we saw him get the forward air, there we see him get the cape. He is just all over his opponent, but Ter-Bear bringing out the Ganon.
And that's Ter-Bear's main for the record, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, he definitely comboed into that battle.
He survived too. There's the jab. Remember, Devante does not have a jump. He's not going to be able to make it back. So now it is Ganon against Wario. I'm very interested to see how this matchup is going to play out.
I feel like it's going to be a lot of baiting on Devante's side with the bike. That's exactly what I thought he was going to do. I really think he's just going to be going back and forth, really seeing and waiting for Ganon to approach and put out these moves, because Ganon, being a slow character, will have slow moves and that can get hit once he misses.
Definitely.
So I feel Devante's just going to be patient, is just going to control that stage, keep Ter-Bear in the air for as long as he can, and rack up that damage just as he's doing right now and avoid getting hit really hard, just like that.
Oh,
And
gotta
you
be
can
careful.
tell, keep in mind, Devante having two pieces of the Dragoon. Looks like he just lost one. That still hasn't come into play too much. The up tilt, that fabled move coming out from Ganon, but still not enough to get the KO as Devante has Ter-Bear on the ropes.
Talk about that big hard-hitting strategy of Ganondorf. Keep in mind, Wario always in the tank. That waft can be such a game changer, can really kind of clutch out these situations. And I'll tell you what, the way this one's going, man, it could come down to that because he is struggling to get back to this stage.
Yeah, we could talk about how Ganon could be a little slow, but at the same time, mentally, this is even. Ganondorf does hit so hard, and in 3 hits, you could be evenly matched with him. Oh, the run up into wall.
I don't want to say I caught it. I don't want to say I caught it, but I might have phoned it in, you know?
If you gotta go, you gotta go.
He just throws out the bike. So essentially that bike, if you use a move on it, it's going to extend the hitbox.
Yep.
And as you can tell right there, Devante using the waft on the bike extends the hitbox and gets the KO. Poltergust enjoying a nice little seat for a
I
little
would say
bit.
so. I think the defining moment of that exchange was Mario taking out Ike so quickly, because you got to think, that's Ter-Bear's main, right?
Yes.
So when you got him off stage right there on the right side, you're hitting him with the flood, the cape, just narrowly not enough on that Aether to recover and grab the ledge. That was a game changer and really just set
So
him
close.
so far
I honestly
ahead.
feel like that play itself is what really locked in that win for them.
Definitely.
Because I feel like if anything, if you can't play the one character that you know that you are the strongest with, that's your advantage right there. That's your advantage point. Now you're playing on my territory at that point.
The momentum shifting so much, guys. Let's take a look at the updated bracket right here as we see that team has moved forward. So the Northwest is going to face the Southeast. Couldn't be more far apart in terms of North America. Had to see how those guys go in winners finals, but we're going to kick it over to elimination round 1 first on the lower bracket, Northeast against Southwest, and we are back to that seeding match format. Essentially, everybody on the team is going to get one player. Each player is going to get one character and one stock, and that's really going to shake things up in terms of how this is going to be played.
Yeah, that's why I feel like now everything's on the table here. We saw how the teams played out, but now in losers bracket, you have one stock to work with, and it could be really intimidating. But at least everybody on your team does get to play at least once, and that's what we're going to be seeing the format as.
So between the seeding and obviously, the first couple of rounds there, you've had a little bit of a grace period where you can kind of rely on the fact, okay, we lose here, we're still in, right? You don't have that anymore.
No.
Okay, you lose, you're done. Okay, this is where I'm telling you, it's a little cliche, but if you want to step up to the challenge, now's the time to do it, okay? Especially when you're repping for your whole region, man. Come on, man. You got to give me something.
All the pressure is on, and Kels, as a top player yourself, you've been in these situations where you're in that lower bracket and you're so close to the placings that you want. How does that feel, that desperation? What do you think those guys up there are feeling?
It definitely does hit you hard in the guts. You're so close, but so far away, and now you have only one chance left, especially now that every team member will have one character.
Yeah.
That's going to change things up. But luckily, everybody has kind of seen each other's characters. So people can start planning, hey, we're about to fight this team. What characters were they using? What was strong? What was not? Which one of my 3 characters are going to counter this character? The stages, of course, being random is a little harder to think about. But I think in terms of matchups, that's what they're going to want to think about. They have to keep their focus. Luckily, they have teammates behind them that are supporting them and friends, because when you're out there and competitive, you're on your own. You got to tell your brain that that's your teammate, and you got to say, hey, man, you're not out yet. Let's keep going and get to that top. But you got your whole teammates over there that are telling you, hey, maybe you can do less of this or more of this, and you can support each other.
Yep.
No doubt about it, man. I feel like you made an excellent point. I mean, at this point, all the cards are on the table. You're not going to see too many curveballs. At this point, I can only imagine. Kind of going to go with what you know, and that's going to be the defining factor.
Very interested to see how this match is going to shake up in just one moment. But when we're talking about the lower bracket, Vicky, when we're going back to this one character, one stock, I mean, you got to go your best character, right?
You do. I definitely agree. But also remember, you can't pick the same character as your teammate. And we have that in a situation with some teams. Maybe we have both 2 players playing Young Link, and so you have to determine amongst yourselves. All right, I'm gonna go Young Link. You're gonna go this character. And actually, I believe Ter-Bear's team, Ter-Bear plays Young Link as well, and AAROW plays Young Link. So I wouldn't doubt that AAROW's gonna go Young Link, and then you got Ter-Bear probably going Ike.
So it looks like starting off, we've got Northeast against Southwest, and remember, this is for elimination. The winning team will move on in that lower bracket. The losing team, fortunately, going to have that flight home. Have to see how Seth and NUMBREON goes out. Both these guys trying to set the pace, trying to win the game for their team. Yoshi against Ness.
I feel like both of these characters have great spacing tools. Ness being a character that can kind of push away with his telekinesis.
Oh, no! It started too far from him. Oh my, that was so unfortunate. You see the head shake coming out. He even retaliated back by hitting Seth away, because he knew that he would still be able to make it back. And even getting the second PK Thunder, it just started too far away from him.
I think the worst part about that is he knew he messed up immediately.
You saw him get up?
Yeah, exactly. It was almost frame 1 in a sense, like he knew. And that's the hard part. It's tough. You feel like you're kind of letting your team down as well, but you just gotta, at the same time, you can still, all you can do, support the guys.
So keeping in mind, guys.
AAROW's here, man. AAROW's here to play. Hopefully he's going to back up that teammate. He's giving Seth quite a match right now, a lot of percent, but that down air giving so much pressure, literally just evened it back up.
Super good. And keep in mind, it's not like the previous matches where, sort of it's 2 out of 3. They've still got to get through Seth, who is looking to wipe the whole team. He's got the Gus Bellows. AAROW trying to find his way back to center, and he does.
Yeah, it was a really good job at avoiding it. Seth coming down with the egg drop. And we've seen Yoshi's aerials, they're so
He doesn't
big
have a
and
jump.
so strong, and yeah, he does not have a jump, and he hits Seth away. That could have been a dire situation for Seth to try to take Arrow's last stock here of the tournament.
He is fortunate that LB came out when it did, or just had that hitbox, because that was looking like a dunk setup if I've ever seen one.
You talked about how AAROW trying to bring his A game, Kels. What do you think we need to see more of from him to be able to get this stock off the Yoshi?
I think we need to see less commitment from him.
Oh my Lord! Talk about commit. Put a ring on that finger right there. Took that whole stock and just dropped him.
I think Seth just performed so well in terms of pressure. He was constantly in his face, but spacing out without actually committing any moves. He would go right up to him, keep that little range, wait for Youngling to throw out something, and then just punish him right away. He just kept doing it, and right at the end, that last minute, you saw AAROW commit that up special, that up B that went over the stage, and then he was able just to get smacked for it.
You know, and to follow up, you know, you have one thing that Yoshi has great aerials, but he also has a great projectile at that, and on this stage in particularly, those eggs do bounce. Ter-Bear, no stranger to the competition though. You see how he's hanging up on those top platforms. You see how he's trying to commit here with an aerial option.
Seth is just a man unleashed right now. I mean, that's all I can really say about this guy.
Seth is about to wipe out the whole team.
I was gonna say, like, are we even gonna get rid of Seth? I mean, 127, pretty high percent. Obviously, Ike able to remove stocks. Not too much difficulty, but you gotta imagine at this point, just the momentum that Seth is coming in with, hard to slow down.
And even if Seth has so much momentum, and his teammates still, he doesn't want to lose. You can tell he still wants to hold on. He's being so careful about the way he's approaching. And even when he's in the vortex of doom, he's still hanging on.
In the black hole, he uses the Yoshi bomb and actually gets down to the ledge. But that back air will do it. Ter-Bear with his back on the ropes. Have to see if he can pull it out for his team.
Yeah, and aside from the fact that you do have one stock, you also carry over your damage.
Yeah.
So that's the other hard part is, although you can take out this character, you have to now play at a disadvantage at 125%.
That's why it's kind of differential a little bit from a crew battle. You don't get that nice refresh, so Ter-Bear gets the stock, but at what cost, man? I think he's coming in with 125% on him. Yes, sir.
Keep in mind, DTFAUX only needs an Alolan Whip. That's it. Oh, no, he got it, but he went up. All right, well, he needs 2. If he gets 2 of those, that should do it. Now that he has the timing, 150 on Ter-Bear, DTFAUX, 1 hit away from taking it for his team.
And this is the really scary part against Incineroar, because Incineroar has to approach.
That's it, just like that, the grab.
There we go.
There really wasn't too much he could do because it's essentially like, you know, okay, oh, don't get grabbed. I mean, come on. Like, come on. Like, so much easier said than done. And for Faux, you know, this is a guy who's already shown us in previous rounds he's capable of kicking in that clutch gene, but for that particular exchange, didn't really need it too much. I just said either an Alolan rip or just one grab away from victory. We see it right there. It's perfectly executed.
Seth, the MVP under unanimous, right?
No,
I mean,
easily,
we could just say that by unanimous decision. Seth taking out basically 2.5 stocks from the enemy team, going to ensure that the Northeast keeps moving on. Southwest, unfortunately, is going to drop out, but we're going to have another match coming up for you guys very shortly. It is the other side, so I have to see how that turns out. But you saw how Seth just really ran through his opponents in terms of momentum. What does that feel like to be able to just run through your opponent's stocks?
You know, I think when you're on such adrenaline, when you're really in the zone, nothing can stop you in those moments. I feel like Seth had a really good game 1. Unfortunately, we had a suicide kill. But that can set your mind to, okay, I have an advantage. Let's keep it up. And then already he was on the pace for that second match and almost took the third.
So close.
Yeah, he played great. Honestly, his spacing, his pressure, I loved his pressure. Yeah. He just was always in his face. He would make his opponent scared and commit into something that they were going to regret. He just played all around amazing.
I feel like it was almost in a sense because, I go back to that one game that he had where he just kind of got destroyed from the early going. I think the Bowser Jr. kind of ran a train through a lot of his characters, and that's kind of what we were noticing was a problem. It felt like almost in a sense he kind of lost confidence. That's a heck of a way to bounce back.
He brought it back.
An elimination round, too.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you to Supergirl Kels for joining us on the desk. Thank you for your analysis and your perspective. Very valuable to have. We're going to be right back with more Squatch Strike action in just one moment.